Most people think that when you die, your secrets die with you. They think the grave is a vault that no one can ever hack, but they're wrong. My son Caleb was 38 years old, a tech genius in Manhattan, a marathon runner, and as far as the world knew, happily married to a woman who looked like a Vogue cover model. When Caleb dropped dead in his home gym in the Hamptons, the coroner called it a textbook brain aneurysm. Case closed. I spent 35 years as a lead investigator for the NYPD. I know what natural causes look like, and I know what a lie smells like. At the funeral, his wife, Vanessa, was wearing $2,000 sunglasses to hide tears that weren't actually there. But she made one mistake. She didn't know about the dead man's switch. 4 days after we buried my only child, I received a package, no return address, just a weathered copy of the Count of Monte Cristo, with a note that said, "Look inside the spine, Mr. Sterling. The truth is heavier than the grief." What I found inside didn't just break my heart. It turned me into a ghost in my own son's house. Stick around, because by the end of this story, you'll realize that sometimes the person sharing your bed is the one measuring your coffin. Caleb was my world. After my wife passed, it was just us. But 6 months before he died, the calls changed. They got shorter, more guarded. He'd married Vanessa 3 years ago. She was a wellness influencer, charismatic, and obsessed with biohacking and supplements. She had Caleb on a strict regimen, green juices, specialized vitamins. The works. At the wake, I watched her. She wasn't looking at the casket. She was looking at a man named Marcus, Caleb's personal security consultant. They exchanged a look, not a look of comfort. It was a look of victory. That night, I sat in my motel room and tore apart that book. Hidden inside the binding was a tiny military-grade encrypted USB drive. When I bypassed the encryption, a folder popped up labeled Project Truth. Caleb was a coder. He knew how to track things without being seen. On that drive, I found a digital paper trail that would make a mob boss sweat. Vanessa hadn't just been cheating with Marcus. They were bleeding Caleb's accounts dry. I'm talking $1.2 million, moved through shell companies in the Cayman Islands. But then, I clicked on the audio files. Caleb had bugged his own living room. The levels have to be precise, Marcus. If he catches a scent, it's over. Vanessa's voice was cold. He won't. He thinks it's just his pre-workout boost. The coroner in this town is a friend of my father's. He won't look for potassium chloride unless we give him a reason. My blood turned to ice. My son knew. He knew they were killing him, but he couldn't get out. He was being drugged into a state of confusion. He left this drive for me, because he knew I was the only one who could finish the job. I didn't go to the Hamptons police. I called Vanessa. I played the role of the confused, aging father. She generously invited me to stay in the guest wing of the estate. I became a shadow. For 2 weeks, I watched her. I watched Marcus come over at 2 a.m. I watched them toast with Caleb's vintage scotch. One afternoon, while she was away, I went to the basement gym. Inside the insulation of the water heater, I found a small medical kit, vials of concentrated potassium, syringes, and a notebook, Vanessa's handwriting, tracking Caleb's physical reactions. She was treating my son's murder like a science project. I knew she'd try to move on me eventually. That Friday, she made me a special smoothie. "For your heart, Dad," she said with that venomous smile. I waited until she went to the balcony to take a phone call. I swapped my glass with hers. 5 minutes later, she took a sip. As she started to stumble, I grabbed her arm. I leaned in close, and I whispered,
"I saw the files, Vanessa. I know about the Caymans, and I know about the needle." The look of pure terror on her face was better than any whiskey I've ever tasted. I didn't kill her. I'm a man of the law. I had the FBI waiting in the driveway because the money she stole had crossed state lines. It was a federal case. Marcus tried to run, but he didn't get past the gate. They found everything: the drive, the vials, and the notebook. Vanessa is currently serving life without parole. Marcus took a plea deal for 15 years. In the USA, we have a saying: money talks, but the truth screams. I sold the Hamptons house. Every cent of that $5 million went into the Caleb Sterling Foundation, which funds private investigators for families who can't afford the truth. My son is gone. I can't bring him back. But every time a corrupt widow gets handcuffed because of our foundation, I feel Caleb tap me on the shoulder. Don't just watch your back. Watch your drinks. Watch your loved ones. Because sometimes the person you die for is the one making sure you do. If you think justice was served, drop a "Justice for Caleb" in the comments. And if you have a story that needs to be told, our DMs are always open. Stay safe, stay alert, and as always, keep looking for the truth.